And now we move on to our next hero. And for that introduction, I'd like to call Bob Plath to the stage.
I will be very brief. Sarah Lahey is the next hero, and she went through as a child some horrible abuse, so bad that they made an intervention to take her from her parents, and she, I think, is a tribute to. She went through the foster home system, and she was there totally depressed and broken and feeling so sad until I'll let her tell you her story. But she's an amazing individual, so I want to welcome Sarah Lahey. Please, thank you.
I was born with the desire to love, and so were you. My dad was raised Irish Catholic. My mom grew up Muslim in Iran. I wish I could stand here and tell you that their relationship was the embodiment of peace, but I can't. I grew up in a war zone between the two most important people in my life. When my mom left her country at 18, she left behind a revolution. She told us that there were times where she had to live in the basement in candlelight in fear of being bombed. She never felt safety or trust, and she didn't know how to create it for me. In second grade, I was asked to go to the principal's office. I was shaking. I didn't know what I had done wrong. I was sure I hadn't done anything wrong. And as I walked by the glass window of the office, I could see the officers in uniform. I was constantly interrogated, often by adults I'd never met before. It was terrorizing, embarrassing, intimidating. I never wanted to be a liar, but I quickly learned that whatever I said impacted my life and the people that I loved the most. The world was heavy. The choices my parents made and their repercussions rang loud in each of my days. By the time I was 14, I had lived with my uncle, with neighbors, in foster homes, and in a shelter where there were locks on every door. There were armies of lawyers, therapists, social workers, mediators. I never knew if someone was going to show up at my door and take away someone I loved, or if a new court order would have me lose my home and I'd be forced to live with strangers. Yes, I was angry, deeply betrayed, alone, and hurt. But holding on to those feelings did not serve me, and having those feelings didn't make me feel better or fix what had happened. Forgiveness became my path to survival. And I was not going to accept that this pain was going to carry with me for the rest of my life. I took my pain and my anger and I used it positively. I took a stand to say, it doesn't have to be this way. The world was dark, but the darker the world was for me, the bigger my commitment to shining became. I remember one time I was sitting on my front porch, and I remember thinking, what does a good or positive experience look like? And is it possible for everyone? Mostly, it seemed that there was no hope. But I knew that I could be a source of love and kindness and forgiveness. And I noticed that when things were the toughest for me, it was helping other people when I felt the best. Those were the moments that I felt truly happy. In 4th grade, I decided if I was really going to help the world, I needed to be an expert on the problems. So I read about children with cancer, genocide, war. I read about the heroes of history, too. I wanted to know the real truth about the world, good and bad. But I was becoming tuned to an epidemic of sadness, which felt like it was growing exponentially. So many tears of history to clean up, so much pain. But understanding a bigger picture of the world caused me to live in gratitude, and not as a victim of the life that I had been handed. I didn't have time to feel sorry for myself. I had to get to work. I began to imagine the impact that one person could have on the world, and I made my life an experiment. I had concluded that none of us could rely on goodness externally. But if I chose to live expecting bad things to happen, I would be living in fear. And nothing about that felt good. My other option was to test the limits on the power I had on the world around me. I insisted on being the place where peace would consistently be. All wars around me would end with me. I was desperate to help balance the pain in the world. Gandhi was murdered before I was born, but among the many wise things he said was, if we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. We need not wait to see what others do. We all have the power of choice. Each one of us, billions of choices each day. The whole world is made up of billions of people with choices, and together these choices make up our reality. We're all in it together. I bought coffee for the guy in line behind me the other day, and he was shocked. He was actually stunned. Like, he couldn't believe that someone had actually noticed him and taken the time to say hello. And after a few minutes passed, he asked me, why did I do that? And I told him I wanted to set an example for the kind of world that we could have. I know people talk about random acts of kindness, but if you engage in them, it's magic, isn't it? You know what I'm talking about. You open the door for the guy in front of you, and his whole world lights up and he smiles. You've lifted somebody up. And it's the sweetest feeling, isn't it? But it's easy to be nice when things are good, right? But we're so easily triggered. Someone runs past you and they bump into you. We're probably not thinking, God, I hope he's okay. We're thinking, that guy's a jerk. But imagine for a moment if we all thought with forgiveness and compassion. The very word forgiveness says to forgive, to give first, to give before. We all have the power to say, I love you in any moment. Even the moments when all you want to do is hold on to that part of you that says, I don't want to forgive. My parents are actually very beautiful people. I'm not angry with them because they didn't have the tools to deal with things differently. We all have to forgive our parents, forgive ourselves, forgive our coworkers, our neighbors. Each day that I choose to bring love, kindness, and forgiveness, I feel better. I feel good. Love is a place that we can be no matter where we are. If you're sad or you're angry, it's usually because you're missing something, right? You're missing something that you want or you need. But there is something that each one of us has that no one can ever take away. You have the power to love. And you have the power to forgive.
As a child, Sarah Lahey had a life filled with pain and sadness, police and social workers. The child abuse was so severe that Sarah had to be removed from her home for her own safety. She grew up moving from one foster home to another. She wanted to know if it was possible to be happy. The Hunting Happiness Project was born from her growing need to express her love to the world and touch as many people as possible.
Hello, my friends. I'm here to remind you that every person you meet is an opportunity. You have a choice. You can ignore them. You can be kind. I want to encourage you to take initiative, and I want to demonstrate to the world that each person's choices can make a huge difference. My life's mission is to be an example of what's possible. I am committed to bringing happiness to each person I meet every chance I get, and I am starting what I call a world happiness movement, and I need your help.
She's great. She's wonderful. She's fantastic. I agree wholeheartedly. I just want to say that the Worldwide Forgiveness Alliance hereby honors Sarah Lahey as a hero of forgiveness in recognition of her exemplary commitment to forgiveness, reconciliation, and peace. She is an amazingly fantastic woman, and I thoroughly endorse everything of that. What a hero. Thank you very much. Give her a good hand. Woo! Woo, woo, woo!